Well, this is going to be fun and hopefully informative, too. I'll be talking with a Philadelphia Eagles legend, maybe their best cornerback in their nearly 90-year history. That would be Troy Vincent, plus the executive director of Women Against Abuse, Joanna Otero-Cruz, whose group is hosting a big fundraising event next month at Lincoln Financial Field, which she'll tell us all about, of course. Let's welcome Joanna to Philly Pressbox Radio. Hey, Joanna, how you doing?
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, before we talk about dishing up that big event at the Link, tell our viewers and listeners about the domestic violence agency that you run in Philly, Women Against Abuse. How long has the agency been around, and how did you come to get involved with it?
Yes, Women Against Abuse has been around for 46 years. Women Against Abuse is the leading domestic violence organization in the city of Philadelphia. We run our safe havens, two safe havens, or oftentimes referred to as shelter. We also have the only legal center where we are represented both at family court and criminal court, supporting domestic violence survivors. And we also provide the citywide hotline for anyone who's in crisis or just has general questions about their situation that they may be in. And we provide an array of different housing support services and social services.
How severe a problem is domestic abuse in the Philly area?
Unfortunately, it is a real problem. In Philadelphia, our 911, the police department, respond to over 100,000 calls to domestic violence a year. Unfortunately, in 2021, we saw an increase in homicides as a result of domestic violence, more than doubling the year prior. So again, it is a very unfortunate reality for many Philadelphians here.
So next month, May 18th, at the Link, for crying out loud, dish it up. And it's going to raise funds for survivors of domestic violence. And it's not just a fundraiser, it's a competition involving some terrific chefs. And are they all women chefs? Did I see that?
It's a woman chef competition. It's exciting. This is a profession that's dominated by men. So this is an opportunity for us to really highlight the amazing chefs that we have in Philadelphia.
And as I understand it, Troy Vincent and wife Tommi will be there at the Link. And in fact, they're going to be honored as Advocates of the Year. Now, Troy is already a past winner of the NFL's Walter Payton Man of the Year Award for his charity and volunteer work. Why were he and Tommi chosen for this Advocates of the Year Award?
Absolutely. Troy and his wife, who's also a chef, they have been true advocates of domestic violence because of their own experience with domestic violence. You know, Troy and his wife have been very open about their testimony. It's a great testimony. It's about survivors. They are survivors of domestic violence and really wanting to take a stance to really eradicate this, that it needs to stop, that it's not, we cannot normalize this. And they have really truly been champions, them and their entire family, really truly been advocates to do everything to raise awareness around domestic violence, to raise awareness about resources that may be available to individuals who are experiencing domestic violence. And for that, we definitely want to honor them and celebrate them, and continue to encourage them to continue the great work that they do.
And again, the event is May 18th at Lincoln Financial Field. Can folks still get tickets for that?
Absolutely. It is going to be an amazing event, as you mentioned, at Lincoln Financial Field. We took everything into consideration with everything that's going on in our worlds of this pandemic. And so we're going to have it at the open kind of concourse, which is a great place for social distancing and allows us to adhere to all the CDC guidelines. But yes, you can still buy tickets. You can visit womenagainst.abuse.org. So we're trying to get everyone engaged, because domestic violence does not discriminate, no matter the gender, the age, the socioeconomic class. So we wanted to make it as welcoming as possible for everyone to participate who really want to contribute. All of the fundraising goes directly to Women Against Abuse to support our ongoing services to survivors of domestic violence.
It is going to be great. I can't wait. Thank you so much, Joanna, and I'll see you May 18th.
Thank you so much for having me. Hope to see you all there.
And joining us now, an all-time great Philadelphia Eagles cornerback and currently NFL Executive Vice President in charge of football operations, it's Troy Vincent. Hey, Troy.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, Troy, I'm friends with both Ray Didinger and Glenn Mack now. They've both been on our show numerous times. And last June, Ray did a terrific Tell Us Your Story with you, which is when I learned about your time as a youth in Trenton and then at Pennsbury High, of course. And I was really moved by hearing about what you went through, unfortunately, as a child. You witnessed as a 7 or 8-year-old kid, your mother getting physically abused multiple times by a boyfriend. I guess that's something you're never completely going to put behind you, but is that what inspired you and your wife, Tommi, to work with organizations like Women Against Abuse?
Well, yes, absolutely. And what I did, I made a commitment to my mother at the age of 16. It was the time when I gave my life to Christ during that time. But 16, and why 16 was important to me during that time, because it was that moment in my life where I felt physically capable of defending my mother. So again, I was introduced to domestic violence, again, around that 7 or 8 years of age. And that happened, through my teenage years. And it was that time, 16, gave my life to Christ. And then physically, I felt like I can now confront my mom's boyfriend. Like, no more, don't put your hands on my mom anymore. So it was that time where I made that commitment to my mother. Come full circle, years later, after college, I get married. Come to find out, as I'm dating my wife now, Tommi, that she was a survivor. Fast forward years later, we have a child. Our daughter was a survivor, and this thing has come full circle for us as a family, and this must end. And at some juncture, we as men, we talk about women against abuse. This fight is about men against abuse. So that's kind of what I shared with Ray during that time, and I share it with others because they always ask me my why and when it began. And it began when I first started hearing that sound of flesh being thrown against the wall, the moaning and the crying and the hollering. And then as a child, you're helpless and no one's around to support you.
I hear you. Well, the organization Women Against Abuse next month will honor you and your wife as its Advocates of the Year. That's a great honor.
We're thankful. The work that Women Against Abuse, the work that they do in the city is outstanding. And again, something that my wife and I, our children, we don't take lightly. We've committed ourselves for this fight to end violence against women and young girls. And it's something that it's a daily talk. It's a daily fight. It's daily education. And frankly, it's a daily challenge to men, and in particular men, that we must end this vicious cycle.
Well, Troy, the sport you played can be a violent one. The NFL has taken numerous steps over the years to try to protect its players better. Does the league do enough in terms of, the rules and regulations, and what else can be done?
As it pertains, we've adjusted over time. I think we've learned some valuable lessons. Each occurrence that happens as it pertains to violence against women, young girls, each have their own identity. And I think we've learned that through time. We have adjusted, and it's something I would encourage every individual listening is to encourage your workplace to create policies that promote sanctions that prevent violence against women and young girls. We've done that, not perfect, but we've done that. We've accepted the challenge of making sure that our policies reflect current situations, and that women feel safe in particular in the workplace. And then there's the work that has to be done, outside of work. This is a challenge to each of us as men. But we've made progress in this particular area, but the numbers don't lie. And that's something that we let in everything that we do. In particular, our sport, data drives what we do. Data drives how we engage with fans. Data drives how the game progresses. But this data hasn't changed, and it must change. When you just think about women are assaulted and beaten every 9 seconds. Think about that. Every 9 seconds, 1 out of 3 women is physically abused by her partner during her lifetime. These are numbers that have not changed in decades. 1 out of every 5 teenage girls has been threatened by their boyfriend with violence or some kind of self-harm if presented with a breakup. Every day, more than 3 women are murdered by their husband or boyfriend. It's sickening. Here in the United States, domestic violence is the leading cause of injury. We don't talk about it enough. It's more than car accidents, muggings, and rape combined. What does that say? Our silence says that we're okay with that.
So glad to see that you and organizations like Women Against Abuse are continuing to, deal with this situation and try to improve the situation. Let's lighten the mood a little bit, Troy. You wore number 23 during your entire 15-year NFL career. Is that because of your admiration of a certain 6-time NBA champion who wore that number?
I love Mike. I wanted to be like Mike. But I'm going to say this. I wore number 21 in high school. When I got to Wisconsin, someone else was wearing number 21, a senior, so I couldn't have it. So I just went to the next number, 22. When I finished my college experience, when I was drafted by the Dolphins, there was a running back there who wore the number 22. So I couldn't have 22. So I just went to the next number, 23. But Mike, yes, I grew up wanting to be like Mike. So I went to 21 in high school, 22 in college, and then 23 in the pros by default.
Speaking of your time in the pros and the Dolphins, prior to your 8 years with the Eagles, you did play your first 4 seasons with Miami, which happened to be the last 4 years they were coached by the legendary Don Shula. Some very good Dolphins teams. Still, any special memories of Coach Shula?
Oh, great. I mean, just Coach Shula was just like Coach Dundella. There was a phase of my life in high school when someone spoke life into me. In college, Coach Barry Alvarez, and then my first pro coach, Coach Don Shula, picked me up in his Crown Victoria from the Miami-Dade airport. And I just remember his first words was, "I can only protect you for 2 years. Your talent can only carry you so far. You got to become a student of the game." And those words resonated with me because I didn't understand them at first. Then I realized that being a student of the game of football will allow me to have an extended playing experience, which it did. I mean, great coach, great motivator, understood people, understood that having a locker room that was made up of different people from different walks of life and different backgrounds, it created a good culture. And the only thing that mattered, frankly, was winning.
Well, during your 8 years with the Eagles under Ray Rhodes and then, of course, Andy Reid, you made 5 Pro Bowls, made All-Pro a couple of times. But your final 3 seasons in Philly, 01 through 03, all ended the same way with losses in the NFC Conference Championship.
Remind me of that.
I am so sorry. That was frustrating for all of us fans, Troy. I can only imagine what it was like for you.
Okay, this is where the shift in the conversation. No, it was, you know what? We just couldn't get over that hump. And I tell people today, I've lost 4 championship games. And actually 3 of them at home. 2 of them happen to be at the link. And you just go, man, even when Tampa, that's the one that sticks out the most. Because everything says that we were supposed to beat Tampa. The warm weather culture team doesn't play well up north. Everything was right. And we just fell short. Just like the Carolina Panthers. We should have beat that football team. We were better than the Carolina Panthers there. But they beat us. They were a better football team that day.
I'm sorry to bring that up, Troy.
That's now my day is gonna take a complete shift. I'm gonna be thinking about that all. How did Jared Vicious catch that ball and run for 50-something yards? Are you kidding me?
Well, I know as an NFL executive, you can't really openly root for a particular team anymore. But hey, having grown up in Trenton and played 8 years with the Birds, I'm sure you keep tabs on what the Eagles are up to. How close are they right now, do you think, to being a legitimate contender?
You always have a chance every year. You got to keep your team healthy. I think they have a promising young QB that I believe that his teammates believe in him. They played solid on defense at times last year. I think shoring up the back end. They have a chance. And I've always believed if you can keep a team healthy, you don't need a bunch of stars at this level. That's one of the things that I've learned. It's not the most talented teams that win on Sunday. It's the teams that make the least amount of mistake and can remain healthy throughout that duration of the season. And then gelling with the right chemistry at the right time, you win. You produce wins. So I do believe, obviously, I monitor because all my family's back there. These Cowboy folks, we just can't seem to keep them quiet for just 5 minutes. But I do monitor. I do monitor the team. I love watching them play. I support them. Family, obviously, everyone bleeds green in the family. So I do keep a special eye on them. But on Sunday during my work day, Sunday, Mondays, and Thursdays, I just try to make sure that there's competitive balance and the games are fairly officiated.
Hey, I know you're not big on personal accolades, but you're in the Eagles Hall of Fame, the Pennsylvania Hall of Fame, the Pennsbury Hall of Fame, of course. You've been nominated for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, very worthy. And the Eagles have been around nearly 90 years, and you and Eric Allen are widely considered by pretty much everybody to be the very best cornerbacks in their long history. How's that make you feel?
Special. I'm thankful. But I would just say this. I was able to play well. I had great coaches, Jim Johnson and Leslie Frazier and Ray Rose, and frankly, Emmett Thomas changed my career. He taught me to be a special player. I had some tools that God gave me, and I was just able to apply them on the field. Coach Reed comes in, and again, talking about Coach Johnson, I played with some great players. One of the best player I ever played with, whether that was in Miami, Philly, Buffalo, and the one year in Washington, Brian Dawkins. Hugh Douglas, Jeremiah Trotter. I had some great teammates around me that complimented Bobby Taylor. We all complimented each other. And we were sound in our assignments, didn't give up. It was simple. Don't give up the big ball. You challenge the guy that's in front of you. Don't try to be a hero. And the game is about you. Don't get pissed off that a call doesn't allow you. It's not your call that Coach Johnson was calling the play. And you celebrate everyone else's victories. You celebrate your teammates' success. That's what makes it special. People will choose who they think were good players or Hall of Fame players. I was just happy to be part of a good locker room that was well coached and guys believed in one another.
Well, you have a website, troyvincent.com, imagine that, which is less about football and more about your various charitable efforts, giving back. People should definitely check that out. And by the way, I know the reason, but why are you and Tommi wearing Ohio State gear in so many of those pictures?
So we happen to have a son who thought he should be, actually graduates in 3 weeks, who's a Buckeye, Teron. Teron's our middle boy. He's going into a senior year with the Ohio State Buckeyes. So obviously I'm a dad on Saturdays. And for my wife and I, Tommi, to go and spend time in Columbus or wherever they're playing is special. It allows us to be fans and happy, proud parents. We're Big Teners for life. So all but Troy Jr. went to NC State, so that's why you see the gear every week of the Ohio State Buckeyes. My wife doesn't allow me to wear a lot of Wisconsin gear around because she said, "Hey, those days are over. We're both supposed to be supporting our son, so I expect you to change your gear immediately."
Troy, this has been a blast. Anything else we should mention about Women Against Abuse or the May 18th Dish It Up event at the link?
I'm looking forward to dishing up. My wife's a chef. I'm looking forward to, frankly, this is about how do we support Women Against Abuse? How do we support the organization? This is a fundraiser. We strongly support, and we encourage others to support these organizations that are doing great work, as we would say, boots on the ground in the street that are changing lives of survivors. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to eating. I'm looking forward to my wife being able to look at the other chefs, and then she'll be critiquing. And I'm looking forward to that. But I'm looking forward for a great night at the link. Thank you. Looking forward to seeing everybody. Let's go. Fly, Eagles, fly.